Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be a bit of a weird one because me and Sophie Payne have done a Q&A all about infertility, IVF, PCOS, all that stuff, but obviously with the social distancing and coronavirus, we've had to do it in our own houses. So Sophie's done an amazing job at editing it all together for us. So it is now live on my channel and on her, so you can always go over and see her. I will link her YouTube and Instagram in the description box below, so go and check it out. So yeah, enjoy the video guys. Thanks for watching. I just want to start by saying I watched your infertility video that you put on YouTube the other week when you came out with your infertility, and your story at the beginning is so similar to mine. Like, we're the same age, we're both 27.
Yeah.
We both got married the same year in the same month.
So weird.
It's like crazy how similar like our life kind of has gone.
Definitely.
And then like everything was like, I was like, yeah, the PCOS, yeah, this and that and the other. And then like when your HSG was clear, I was like, that's where mine kind of differs from yours.
Your changes, yeah. So do you want to start by telling your story and then I'll tell mine, and then if we haven't got, people don't know each other's stories, then they sort of know where we're at the moment?
Yeah, for sure. So I have been trying for a baby for 2.5 years-ish, and it's just been a nightmare. It's, you know, you get taught in school that as soon as you go near a boy, you're going to get pregnant, and that just hasn't been the case for me. Me and Mark have been together since we were at school, so coming up to 13 years now.
Wow.
I know, and we started trying for a baby just after we got married. I came off the pill and I'd never had a period for over 6 months, which was just crazy. So I ended up going to the doctors. Well, when I did get a period, it was really long cycle. I bled for like nearly 2 months. It was just horrendous.
Oh my God.
So I went to the GP and they ended up thinking it might be PCOS. I hadn't really done much research into it because nobody that I know in my family's got it. And it's supposed to be like a hereditary thing, which is really bizarre, so I'd not really like thought about it. But long story short, with that, that came back positive for PCOS. So she was kind of like, can't really do much more for you right here at the doctor. So they sent us to the fertility clinic at our local hospital.
Right. Did they say, have you been trying so long, or were they like, we're going to refer you anyway?
Do you know what? They did know, because I've heard so many things about you have to be trying for like 12 months before you go to the GP.
Yeah.
But do you know what? I think I caught a good doctor on a good day.
Yeah, it's so much luck in this.
Honest to God, if you feel like you're being fobbed off and you feel like you've got symptoms for certain things, push for tests. They say you're supposed to be trying for 12 months before you can have any tests, but it was less than that for me. But by the time I'd kind of got an appointment at the fertility clinic, it had been a year anyway.
Yeah, that's it. It takes so long to get your appointments through that actually, I don't think there's anything wrong with going just before.
It's
and
crazy.
Like I say, it depends on what doctor you get.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, she was quite holistic, like she seemed to have quite a holistic approach, and she was a woman and she kind of understood. I don't know whether she'd had problems with, you know, infertility herself or something, but something in her wanted me to go forward. But also she had ordered Mark to have a semen analysis, and his first test came back bad. His motility was bad at the time. So she was like, well, I can't treat you here, so you might as well go to the fertility clinic because you've got PCOS and male factor at the beginning. So we went to the hospital. I got told that if I would need IVF, I would need to lose weight. So I'd need to get my BMI down to 30. And in that time, she goes, I'll see you again this was in the end of November. It was actually on my birthday. 2018.
Wow, happy birthday.
I know. And I went on my birthday, and then we went on holiday, and I was due back in there and back in the hospital in April, and between now and then they gave us loads of tests to have done. So Mark was going to have another semen analysis, I was going to have a HSG test, another ultrasound, some more bloods, you know, the usual. So in that time I was like, do you know what, in case I need to have IVF, I'm going to get my weight down, which I did. So that was the original weight I needed to lose was 2.5 stone, but I'm now at 4 stone that I've lost.
Wow.
I know, it's been a bit of a journey. For the better, you know, I feel better in myself. I feel like I'm you know, I'm ready to, I'm giving my body the best chance to have a baby, you know.
Definitely, yeah.
But the HSG test is where they check your fallopian tubes, and that for me was where my journey kind of came to an end test-wise, because both of my tubes were blocked. That whole journey was absolutely horrendous, and I've got a whole video talking about how my HSG test went earlier back on my channel. But yeah, they told me that I wouldn't be able to get pregnant naturally and I would need to have IVF, so that is where we are now. It's just took ages to get to this point, and then like we had started our IVF in November, had my egg collection in December, and then they told us because of the amount of eggs I produced, because I've got PCOS, I would need to have them all frozen and let my body relax for a couple of months before I started again. And we had started that process to kind of get ready to have them transferred back, and coronavirus hit and we had to cancel it all. You know, so I've been set back. I feel like I've been set back so many times, and I know that I'm not the only one this has happened to. But yeah, it's pretty shit.
And how are you like feeling about IVF? I mean, there's probably a question about this, but how are you feeling about IVF? Like, are you, and tell me if you don't want to talk about it, but are you like going into this thinking this is going to work, or are you feeling like if it works, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
if it works, it works.
I try and look at all possibilities, but I am also confident it's going to work, because I think like I believe in manifesting. I believe that if you put your intentions out there to the universe, it's going to come back around to you.
Yeah, that's just giving me goosebumps.
But I definitely am aware that it might not work. You know, when me and Mark are talking about it, our embryos have got to make it out of the freezer. They've got to be thawed and they've got to be grown before it even gets to transfer. So there's still so many hoops to jump through before I even get to that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm confident. I'm you know, you can't not be. You can't sit here and go, do you know what, now it ain't going to work. Because you'd give up, wouldn't you?
Exactly.
And I'm not that person.
Oh wow.
How about you? What's your story?
Okay, so ours is actually really similar.
Yeah.
So got married in September 2017, and then we started trying pretty much straight away. Like Kate, we weren't on any contraception because I'd come off the pill a few months before the wedding. And we were just like, if it happens, it happens. And it's funny now looking back, because we were so like worried about like, are we going to be able to afford this? We was in like a much smaller house, and we were just like, oh, if it happens, we'll make it work, basically. And we were just convinced that it would happen straight away. Like I don't know. Now looking back, I just think, stupid girl. I
know, you do, they don't think you were saying that. I was like, oh, I'm going to have my baby, I want my baby to be born in May, so I will have sex this month. And it's just like,
exactly.
Well, how dumb were, like, you don't know, do you? Because you're not told about these things.
100%. Like, I literally had it down to a T. I was like, right, we're going to get pregnant in January. I'm going to announce it at about Easter with some sort of weird Easter themed, oh, here's an egg, but there's a baby. And then be pregnant throughout summer. We're going to have an autumn baby. It's going to be like a few months old at Christmas. Literally, we had it planned, and I was like, oh, Sophie. So yeah, so we were trying for about a year, and we went to the doctors, and they just said we won't refer anyone until they've been trying for 2 years.
2 years, oh my god.
2 years, yeah. So that brought us to sort of last summer. It was just before 2 years, and he said, okay, I'll refer you. But actually, no, what he did was he did blood tests first. And he said, you've got no, is it LH? Ovulation hormone? He said there's no LH, and he did it throughout. I had to go every week for 4 weeks. So he said, yeah, we're going to refer you. So we got referred, had our first gynecology in maybe October last year.
Yeah.
And at our first appointment he was like, right, you've got PCOS. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like, I spoke about this in my other video, but I sort of thought I did anyway.
Yeah.
So he confirmed we had PCOS and he gave us Clomid.
Yeah. How did you find that?
It's okay. It's just, it's weird because obviously it's messing with all your hormones.
Yeah.
And I'd have like times where I'd have like a proper hot flush, and I thought like, oh, I've had a hot flush before, that's fine.
Yeah.
But it was like an intense hot flush where I'm talking stripping off and going and standing in the garden. Yeah. And Adam's like, Sophie, what are you doing?
Yeah. IVF.
So yeah. Yeah, it's just great, and they come on so quickly, don't they?
It's like, get everything off me, help.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was a little bit mad, but you only have to take it for 5 days, and then when you've taken it for the 5 days, that's sort of it for symptoms. You only get the symptoms when you're actually on it.
Okay.
So it's not the worst thing in the world. And the first round of Clomid worked, as in I ovulated, and I just couldn't believe it because I feel like he didn't even think it was going to work. So we was just like, oh my god, as if. So I really convinced myself that I'd be pregnant that month, and then I wasn't. And then second round, we don't know if it worked or not because we couldn't have data 21 because we was on holiday. Yeah. So we don't know if it worked or not, but it didn't end in a pregnancy. And then in January I had to go for my HSG, which I mean, Nick, can we? Honestly, I mean, you had to like have a few, didn't you?
Oh, I went like 3 or 4 times, and they were just like, nope, can't do it today, because I would bleed for so long, and there would be like old period blood there. They couldn't do it because of the risk of infection.
Yeah.
And then when they do it, like, they put this kind of catheter in you, and then they blow a little balloon up and fill your uterus with a fluid that will show up on an X-ray. And the fluid's supposed to pass into your fallopian tube so they can see it on the X-ray, and everything's supposed to be perfectly fine, which is probably what happened to you, yeah?
Yeah.
And for me, it was like, nope. And the balloon kept bursting, so they kept bursting the balloon, so they did it at 5. It's supposed to be what? How long did it take you? About 5 minutes to have this done?
Yeah, less than 10.
I was in there for 45 minutes.
Oh my god.
There was about 6 people in the room. There was like doctors, nurses, and X-ray people. They ended up swapping out the balloon for a metal screw so it wouldn't burst.
Oh
they had to screw this screw into my cervix and try it from there, and nothing was pushing this blockage, or nothing was moving. No, there was no fallopian tube movement at all. Like, couldn't see it.
Oh my god.
So, and a fallopian tube, if you don't know, is literally like the size of a hair. It's tiny.
Yeah. You know what, I don't know what I was expecting, but you know when they show you your X-rays, she's like, this is your tube. I was like, are you joking?
Where?
I don't know what I was expecting, like a little arm or something.
I know. Because on all the pictures that you see, like diagrams and stuff, they're quite chunky, aren't they?
Yeah, and they're like these big...
They're not. It's like a hair. It's like...
ovaries. Yeah, tiny, absolutely tiny. She was like, this is your tube, and I was like, what?
Mental.
Are you sure?
Yeah, so no, it's definitely, if you go for a HSG, take paracetamol and ibuprofen.
Definitely. Yeah, so we had a HSG, that was all fine, and then the month after, Dr. Google over here, I'd read that HSG can, if your tubes are clear, it can almost like flush you out, which cringe. But yeah, it can like flush out the tube, so actually you stand a better chance a month after.
Yeah,
so a month after I was like, right, Clomid, I've had the HSG, we know the tubes are fine. Oh, also Adam had a sperm test, and that was fine too. Yeah. So I was like, everything's in our favour now, this is the moment. And I rang after my day 21 test, and she said, yeah, you haven't ovulated this month. And I was like, what?
So frustrating.
That's not part of my master plan.
No.
So that sort of brings us up to today, I guess.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's been a journey.
Yeah.
So So now we've got a few months left of Clomid, and we're gonna try and lose, well, I'm gonna try and lose a little bit of weight before we do those, because the problem is, because of lockdown, we can't have a day 21 test. So I know I've only got like these couple left of cycles left, so I don't want to almost use them and not know if they worked or not. So I'm just gonna wait until we can have blood tests again, I think.
Yeah, the best
so
thing.
Yeah. Right, shall we have a look at these questions?
Let's have a look. So all these questions have come through to Sophie's Instagram, so thank you everybody for sending in questions for us.
Plus size and 39, really struggling to get any help at all from the NHS. Any advice?
It's so hard, isn't it? Because when you are like I was always happy in my body. Like, I never saw myself as like fat or like overweight.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm confident, I'm happy, Mark loves me, I'm fine. And I lost a bit of weight for the wedding, and I didn't really care because I could still go down the aisle. But when someone says to you, you cannot have a baby unless you lose this weight, that's what you're gonna do. If that is what you want, like, that is the biggest push I ever had. So you know, it's a priority thing, really. And I think the NHS, I hated on the NHS originally. I was like, BMI, how old fashioned is this? I said everything under the sun about the NHS, about that, and then when I did it, I was like, yeah, I kind of get it now.
You're probably right. Yeah, that's it. Like, it's frustrating because you're like, oh, for God's sake, it's like another thing I've got to do. And I think for so many people, it might not be that you're struggling to conceive because you're plus size.
That wasn't the case for me. That wasn't whether my tubes were blocked or not, wasn't because of my weight.
Exactly.
Not to do with that.
But I just think if it means that you stand a better chance of IVF working, or it's going to make you have a healthier pregnancy, or there's more chance that you're gonna have maybe a natural birth, then I just think, do you know what, if that's the rules, that's the rules. What can we do?
Exactly.
What can we do about it?
There's no point trying to like go and find someone dodgy that's going to do it for you if it's not gonna, you know, if it's going to risk your health, or if it's, you know, it's being a little bit older. I mean, we're only 27, so I understand that we are in the younger category for this, but I definitely would think, if the fact that the NHS aren't helping you because of your weight, I would maybe if it's definitely something you want, and then maybe start there. You
need to like advocate yourself, and you need to go in there and just be honest and say like, I am trying to lose weight and things like that. And they can also refer you to like dietitians and that. So if you're sort of getting nervous that it's a large amount of weight you've got to lose, then if you're just really honest, then they'll give you all the help that they can, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. They are there to help you, and the rules are there to keep everybody safe.
Did you try the small ovulation strips? They are the best. So basically, I don't know if you found this. Have you done much like ovulation testing?
Oh yeah, I could never pick up anything.
Same. So like, my second line's never ever been darker than my first one.
Never.
And then like, I don't know, you're like holding it up in different lights, but I think ovulation strips just don't really work if you've got PCOS.
I've heard that. So the LH hormone is a bit different in women with PCOS, so it won't show up as well, and they're not as accurate. So if you've got PCOS, or if you're struggling with we test, what are they called? Ovulation sticks tests? The best thing I would recommend is like either taking your temperature, or whether that be like a thermometer in your mouth, basal body temperature is 2 decimal points, or OvuSense. That's what I used for quite a long time, and I heard such good things about it, but obviously I just found out that I wasn't ovulating through that. Yeah,
so that's my next stage, is OvuSense. I'm just waiting till we're paid and I'm going to order it.
I know, they're not cheap, and not cheap at all, but they are worth it. For knowing, definitely.
Do you ever feel jealous when other people have news of a baby?
Depends who it is. But I'll probably get like a pang of jealousy, and then it's instantly like, well, they're them and I'm me. They're in their lane, I'm in my lane. And I'll try and like really segregate myself from other people. I'm doing me, I am in my lane, do you know what I mean? And I think that helps me cope.
Definitely, and I think like, someone may find, for example, getting pregnant really easy, but they might struggle with something else in their life. Do you know what I mean? And I just think it's not fair to be like, oh well, they got pregnant. It's not fair.
We can't all be good at everything.
Exactly, because they might really be struggling with something else. So
yeah.
Okay, how do you stop yourself being consumed by the thoughts in your head?
I obviously have been dealing with this for like 2.5 years, and at the beginning I found that it did consume me, but I felt like it was getting me down, so I stopped thinking about it so much, which is hard to do, but you have to remember that you've got a life other than infertility.
Yeah.
You can still go out, you can still, you know, not COVID-19 like times, but you can still be normal, you can still go on date nights, you can still do this, that and the other, you can still exercise, you can still go and watch a film, anything. You have to carry on living your life and have that as a sideline, because it will eat you up.
100%.
You can't let it.
Yeah, definitely.
You cannot let it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think you're so right. Still book holidays. Oh my god, I'm losing my voice.
No.
Still book holidays, still do all the things that you were going to do anyway. Best trying to conceive supplement, I think not pregnant care. I've been trying 1 year and 3 months. I mean, there's just so many, isn't there? And I think there's it just depends what you're trying to achieve. Like if you've got PCOS, then your supplements might be different to what a person without PCOS would be taking. So
yeah, definitely.
I'm at the moment trying Inofolic.
Inofolic, yeah.
So I'm trying that, but I'm literally on about day 7, so I don't feel like I can really comment on it yet. I
mean, I had that too for PCOS, and it is great. I mean, it didn't work for me because I don't ovulate.
Yeah.
I did take it up to my IVF, and whilst that, and I managed to get 18 eggs from with taking that. So I don't know whether that helped with my egg quality or anything like that, but you know, I'm gonna take it with that. But I will say a male supplement, because I said earlier that Mark's first semen analysis came back bad. He took Wellman conception tablets for 3 months, and after that everything was perfect.
That's crazy, so, isn't it, that?
I would recommend that. We had really good results using that. He took it for 3 months and everything had changed. So
that's so crazy.
Sure. But I wouldn't, back to the supplement thing for women, I wouldn't like rule out taking a good multivitamin and having like a really well balanced diet. Like you can't knock just those simple things.
Definitely.
If you don't want to spend money on like conceiving or you know, specific things. They're marketing ploys at the end of the day. They're probably got exactly the same as a good multivitamin has in them.
How do you do with the dreaded 2-week wait?
I've never got there, so I can't really advise on that yet. I've never like ovulated, so I've never had to even wait on that 2-week wait either. So yeah, maybe have you got any advice?
You know when you have IVF?
Yes.
How long after you've had the transfer, sorry I don't know any technical terms,
no,
so just stop me.
Transfer's correct.
How long after you've had the transfer does it take for you to then like find out if it's been successful? Or
so with IVF you will have a transfer on however many days after, 3 or 5 usually, so the embryo will already be 3 or 5 days old. And then you test, it'll be, they say 2 weeks, but it's 2 weeks minus either 5 or 3 days, so it's fully 2 weeks. And then you do a home pregnancy test, and then if it's positive they will book you in for a 7-week scan. So
right, okay,
you're already, when you like, this is so confusing, right? When you're pregnant through IVF and you test at 2 weeks, you're technically already 4 weeks.
Yes.
It's so confusing. So your 7-week scan will only be 3 weeks after when you test.
Okay, yeah, get that.
So it's not a massive wait that you know, it's not you know, another 5 weeks away.
That's it, yeah.
But yeah, you get a scan, and then you're thrown back in the pool with everyone else, back to normal.
Yeah, back to normal now.
Yeah.
We were saying, like, this is off topic, but we were saying it's funny because I think because it's been such a journey to get pregnant, we haven't even thought about what pregnancy would be like,
or
you
don't
the
let yourself get
scans
that far.
No, that's it. And then I think so many people are like, oh, pregnancy is so difficult, and I'm like, I just want to bloody be pregnant.
I know. And like, it's hard because even though you've been through all this hardship, you'll want to just appreciate it, but if you're having a really crappy time, you're going to feel really hard. It's going to be hard to complain. You know what I mean? But you should feel like you can, because you're still there.
Yeah, of course. For me, 2-week wait, I mean, the only real 2-week wait I think I ever had was the one where we knew we'd ovulated, because we'd sort of had that confirmed ovulation, the first round of Clomid. And I don't know, it's difficult, isn't it? Because you're just sort of trying to think of anything but you just can't help yourself.
Is this headache a pregnancy headache? Is it, I want a McFlurry, is that because I'm pregnant? You just think of anything, don't you? My toe hurts.
That's it. I was getting changed the one night in the 2-week wait, and Adam was like, your boobs look bigger, and I was like, don't even go there, don't even go there. Yeah, so I mean, I haven't really got any advice, because it's really, really difficult. But
I would just say try not to stress too much, and I know that that's the biggest annoying thing. Try and just carry on living your life, like what I was saying before about letting it consume you. Just try and go about your normal day. I know that you have to be a little bit more relaxed, so be a bit more relaxed, because I train a lot. I'm into like weightlifting and stuff, so I've already thought about how I'm gonna be in my 2-week wait. I'm like, do I stop training? Don't I stop training? And I think for me, I'm gonna like do walks, and I'm gonna try and like be normal as much as possible, reduce my weights, but I'm still probably gonna carry on training.
Oh wow, it's just, I mean, it's literally just craziness. And I would also say don't test too early, because I think that's something I got into. That's something I got into, and like, honestly, the money I've spent on bloody pregnancy tests. But I just think I've seen people that are testing sort of like 7 days past ovulation, and it's just called a 2-week wait for a reason. So if you can get as close to that period due date as you can, then I would recommend doing that.
Just to save yourself. You don't want to cause yourself unnecessary hurt or stress.
And money.
And money.
So someone said, with PCOS, how long did you typically go without periods? What were your periods like before the whole TTC?
Do you know what, like, I've been on contraception since I was 15, like different ones, because they all just didn't suit me. So I started out on the pill, then I went on the injection where I didn't get a period. I was on that for about 3 or 4 years. Then I went on to the implant. That is when things went downhill. So I had the implant in my arm, and my cycles, when they came back after stopping the injection, I would bleed for 6 weeks, and then I would have 12 weeks off, and then I would bleed for 6 weeks and have 12 weeks off. So whilst having the implant, the GP made me go on the pill as well. I was on double hormones at once, and I'm like, do you know what? Is this the reason I'm so messed up? Like, has all this caused it? But there's not enough science out there at the moment to say that that's the problem, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I have heard that you can get PC, because they say it's mainly hereditary. However, I have read, I mean, like you said, there's not enough science to support it, but I have read that potentially from taking so many hormones for such a long amount of time can actually potentially give it which is just mad.
It is crazy. So I'd recommend anyone that's on the pill, come off. I'd really like do some research into, you know, even if you're not trying for a baby, I would really do some research into what you're taking, what the side effects are, if you can cope, if you're in a relationship or if you're having sex, you know, if you're sexually active. I would look into temping, because you can figure out when you're ovulating, so when your fertile window is, so that you can naturally figure out when you are not going to be able to get pregnant, or does that make sense? So you can
100%.
Natural cycles is probably the best one and the most affordable.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Definitely. I think doing something like that, just because then you learn to know your body before you're even at the point of trying for a baby.
For sure.
And you can potentially work out that you're struggling with ovulation before even trying to conceive is a thing. Yeah. So what sort of diets, oh I love this one, what sort of diets have you heard that help PCOS? I'm thinking of trying keto. I'm going to let you take this one first.
So there's a lot of, not research, there's a lot of people out there, this is not necessarily correct, saying that you should be gluten-free, be dairy-free. Yeah. There's not actually any science that proves that that is the thing. So with PCOS, most people with PCOS are insulin resistant. So that is how your body digests carbs and sugar, which is essentially a carb. So for me, keto is not eating carbs. And that is why a lot of people will recommend keto. Which will work if you need to lose weight, but if you're like day-to-day life, you don't need to lose weight, or if you want to maintain, I wouldn't go keto. Boring.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, for losing weight, I did drop my carbs, but I never stopped eating carbs. I mean, that's like it's too boring. I mean, I reduced my bread intake. I reduced my potato intake, my rice intake, you know, your standard carbs. Yeah, the ones that you think of when you think carbs. But yeah, going keto completely, I don't think is really necessary.
Yeah, I think like you shouldn't necessarily look and be like, this is the particular diet I'm gonna do. I'm gonna follow Slimming World, I'm gonna join Weight Watchers, anything like that. I think it's just about learning what your body responds to well. So
absolutely.
If like I know, for example, that like when I do lower my carbs, that's when I drop weight. If I do something like Slimming World, which has worked for me before but now just doesn't, if I do something like Slimming World and I'm still eating a lot of potatoes, pasta,
free food.
Free food, when I'm eating a lot of those sort of foods, that's when literally my weight just does not move. So I think lower carb for PCOS, but I mean, I don't necessarily think you should try and follow a particular like diet plan.
Everybody's different. I mean, me and you have been talking like privately and just about diets and stuff. And I've said to you, like, what works for me isn't necessarily going to work for you, so it's worth just trying little things at a time just to see what works. If you've got, you know, my symptoms are probably different to yours, and our symptoms are going to be different to the next person with PCOS, so you've got to do a bit of a trial and error. But I wouldn't, if I was you, I wouldn't go gluten-free, I wouldn't go dairy-free completely. I did swap my milk to a non-cow-based milk. I drink oat milk or soy milk. Soy milk's best in tea, oat milk's best in coffee, for those wondering. And yeah, it's just a bit of a trial and error and like making small swaps. You don't go, right, that is it, I am gluten-free now. Yeah. Because it's too much, it's impossible. It's impossible. It's in everything.
Yeah. I'm like the queen of a fad, so I'll like read an article. I was the same with you, wasn't I? I was like messaging you and I was like, I've read that if you go gluten and dairy free, you get pregnant straight away.
Do you know what? And there probably will be people out there that that's happened to.
Exactly. But yeah, like you say, it's about seeing what research is out there, but also just seeing what works for you, because you know what, maybe gluten-free does work for you because you might have other issues, but it's not saying you've got PCOS, definitely don't have any gluten in your diet.
I mean, I know that for insulin resistance, I know that gluten-free is a little bit better, so if you're really struggling, then maybe go down the gluten-free line after you've tried everything else. But I wouldn't probably rush into doing it straight away and doing it all in one go. You know, if you have sandwiches every day and you're not trying to lose weight and that's your thing, maybe swap to a gluten-free loaf and just see. You know, it's one little thing. If that's part of your day, say you have toast in the morning or you have a sandwich for lunch, whatever, and that is something that you don't want to change, make the swap for that one thing. But I wouldn't then go, okay, well, I'm going to buy gluten-free gravy, I'm going to have gluten-free ketchup, I'm going to have gluten-free crisps, you know,
gluten-free gravy.
Everything. I mean, my mother-in-law and my sister-in-law, they're both got gluten intolerance. They're not, you know, trying for a baby or whatever, but they don't eat gluten. So I have gluten-free stuff in the house for when they come over, but it's not my favourite. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to go out of my way to eat it, and it's more expensive.
Yeah, way more expensive.
I do buy the beef-free wraps. They're made from sweet potatoes.
Yes.
But that is because they're lower in calories, not because of the because they're gluten-free. That just so happens to be gluten-free. They're just lower in carbs.
What's your opinion on cheat meals?
So I have a pretty low calorie diet in the week, and I train quite a lot, so I will have a cheat meal on a Saturday, but it is a cheat meal, not like a whole cheat day, like cheat weekend. I would have a cheat meal. I've done it in the past where I've had like a whole cheat weekend, and I find then the following week my weight stays the same. So yes, I do, because I have a low calorie diet. But if you are trying to lose weight, I would just say be consistent throughout the week, like all the time, like same calories every single day, you know. Just because it's easier, and you'd be better in a routine that way.
If you're sort of in a routine, it's going to happen quicker because your body's like, okay, this is what's happening. But if you maybe have got longer, or
for sure
you want to do it slower potentially, then you could be like, okay, on the weekend I'm not going to be as strict. But I suppose if you want to do it quickly, or you've got like a goal that you're aiming for, then maybe just sack off cheat meals for a little bit. When
I did it in the beginning, like, because I lost the weight for IVF between January to the beginning of April, and I didn't have, like, it was birthday season, so I didn't really have any cake. I didn't have like cheat meals. I probably went out a couple of times in that entire time, but I would make up for it in other ways, just because I needed to get that weight off, and I knew, having PCOS, how hard it was to lose weight. You know, you're going to set yourself back if you're, you know, being really good throughout the week, and you've lost like £2 or whatever that day, and then you go out on the night and eat 3,000 calories. That's 3,000 calories you're set back for the week. Do you know what I mean? And is it worth playing catch up for? I don't think, you know, in the beginning, if you've got a really like big goal, or any goal, you know, I want to lose another stone now before my transfer again, so I'm now going to stop having cheat meals because I want to do it. Yeah, I want to go again. So I think if you're focused, I probably wouldn't recommend it, just to stay on track.
Oh, this is a good one. Has infertility impacted your self-love, self-esteem in any way?
I'm a really confident person. So I've never really struggled with that. I mean, I used to like put the clothes on and think, oh, I hate the way I look, but do you know what, that doesn't happen anymore. And if anything, I'd say I've become a better person through infertility and more accepting of myself. It hasn't sent me the other way at all. It's, if anything, it's been like, it's made me a better person.
Yeah, I think for me it was a bit of a struggle, because I was like, right, okay, I've gone on this journey, I'm like self-love, body posy, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, you need to lose a shitload of weight, and it's not like
you're doing it for you want. You're doing it for the right reason.
I'm not doing it for looks or anything like that. It's just, it's difficult because it was like, okay, so I have no choice but to do this. So it's been a bit difficult, because I've been sort of worrying that I'm like, am I going against everything I've said? But I'm like, actually no, like I have no option in this.
The thing is, I think like with your Instagram, you've got like quite a big platform compared to me, and you have got people, you know, that are there seeing you and they love you and what you do and what you stand for, and now you're suddenly going to have to change that, and some people won't understand, and some people won't like, they won't if they're not trying for a baby, if this isn't in their world, they won't get it, and that's fine. And it's just about educating people in the fact that, right, I need to do this to get this in my life. Like, if you wanted something and you can't have it unless you did this, you're gonna do it. But there will be people out there that don't understand, and that's fine, because you can't, you know, there are
can't please everyone.
No, you can't please everybody. You know, and there'll probably be hateful people out there that say, well, you shouldn't have a baby then, or whatever. There'll be those hurtful people out there, and do you know what? Fuck 'em.
Fuck you. Oh, I love this one. Has infertility affected your sex life?
Yeah. In the beginning, when things were like, when you were doing ovulation tests and when you thought your cycle was normal, it was like, we need to have sex now. Like, yeah,
exactly.
This might be a line. We need to have sex right now, and it just took the fun out of it for me.
Definitely.
Definitely. But when I like found out my tubes were blocked and everything kind of could calm down, I was like, it went back to normal and was like, okay, things are fun again now. Things can be like relaxed and stuff. But yeah, when people can get so regimented and so strict with it, and it just takes the enjoyment out of it.
Definitely, I couldn't agree more. Like, there's just literally so many times when I'm like, Adam, I don't care, it's got to be tonight.
And it's got to, and just like, get it done,
really?
like 10 seconds, whatever it takes.
Yeah, exactly. I am not bothered, but just get to it, mate. Yeah. Like, come on now.
I just think of all the times I sat there with my legs up and thinking, what a silly cow. She didn't know what was happening.
If kids aren't a possibility, would you adopt or foster?
This is quite a big question that goes around the infertility community, and it's something that you have to kind of educate people on when they're asking, because, I mean, for me, and I don't know whether you're the same, I'm really resilient. Like, you can pretty much say anything to me and it won't upset me. But to somebody else, that could be, that kind of question can come across as a bit, as really insensitive, and it's like, you're assuming that they're ready to give up on their dream, almost. Yes. So, I mean, me and Mark have briefly talked about it, nothing major, because we don't feel ready to talk about it, and we're not there yet. But, yeah, I think that is a conversation you have when you're in that place.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think it's not until you're in a situation where it's like, there's absolutely no chance of us conceiving naturally. There's no way it's going to happen. We can have 300 IVFs. It's just not going to happen for us. So what do we want to do now? Do we want a life without children? Do we want to adopt? Do we want to foster? All these different things. Is surrogacy an option? Someone else has also asked about egg donor. I think all these different things are something that you deal with when it comes to it, because
you can't get too far ahead. This is back to the question about how do you like deal with it mentally and like losing yourself to it. If you're thinking about those sorts of things too far ahead, you aren't like, you're stressing yourself, you're putting too much pressure on yourself, you're thinking too far ahead, you're thinking negatively. First of all, you know, it's not good for your health if you're thinking 25 steps down the line when you haven't even had a HSG test done yet. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly, yeah. And I think that's pretty much it. That there's a lot of them are sort of the same sort of question. So
perfect. Yeah, they've been great. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for sending in the questions. And it's so nice to do a video together.
Yeah, for sure. We've been talking about doing it for a while now, haven't we? So I'm glad we finally got around to doing it.
So yeah, go and subscribe to Goodlucknic. You're Goodlucknic on YouTube and on Instagram, aren't you?
And what is your channel on Instagram as well?
Just Sophie Payne, and then on Instagram I'm Sophie Payne XO. Like XOXO Gossip Girl. You know, when you set it up and then after you're like, I've got to live with this forever.
Brilliant, love it.
So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.